Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. It is Jamie with Warrior Spotlight live at Duke Farms tonight. We have a very special show, so we wanted to do it out here tonight. Again, Warrior Spotlight, where the stories are real, the emotions are raw, and the hearts are courageous. Tonight we have Miss Mary Beth, who is one of our mental health. She's actually our lead mental health. We call them MHs, as far as like the EGALA model is concerned. Before we get too much into Mary Beth, I want to cover a couple different things. Just give me thumbs up again. Hopefully everything's good. We did a test run. So we just got through our first fundraiser and we are so grateful. We believe that we met our goal, just a little over $5,000. So we want to send a huge thank you out to everybody and all their support for coming and being sponsors and donating, and it was just absolutely incredible. And we couldn't do it without you guys. Next up on our to-do list is our big fundraiser. So our big fundraiser, our goal is $50,000. So that puts, about 10 veterans through the program. So we're going to push, and that's our big one that we want to do once a year. Right before this, I posted the McConnell Minute. Joel McConnell does a McConnell Minute. Sometimes we merge it with our show live, and I absolutely love when he does these. He's so good. He's such this historian about the military. And today's presentation was about, hi Dan, was about the DD-214. And even for military people, sometimes the DD-214 can be very, very confusing. So this is the document that allows relatives to kind of look at and know what their grandfather did or their grandmother, or it tells their history of their military on it. So I'm going to throw Joel's info out there after I get a thumbs up from him later tonight, and he is a guru at these DD-214, and I'm sure he would love to help you guys out if you had any questions about some of your loved ones who you had their DD-214 and you don't even know what it means. So, again, thank you for tuning in. We are live out at Duke Farms tonight. Beautiful night. This is why we had to do it on location. Tonight, you're going to see out this stall door, Sophie. I'll get her to come. Sophie. Here she comes. Come here, Soph. Come here, Soph. Come here, Soph. Come here. Here she comes. You guys got to tune in tonight. I got Clydesdales. Come here, Sophie. Come here, sis. Come here. Come here. What are you doing? Anyway, she'll be sticking her head out there. So tonight what we wanted to talk about, just in very layman's term, general conversation, is we want to talk about and we want to dive into what it looks like through your eyes as a mental health using these horses. Not in any sort of terminology, just through your own experiences of the horses. Mm-hmm. And I want to start with when I first met you, and I had you come out to the farm. So Mary Beth was not familiar with horses, so I asked her to come out to the farm. And yes, Dan, please come on out tonight. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to text you back, but yes, we would love to have you come on out. So Mary Beth came out to the farm, and she really hadn't been around horses, and so we just went, we took some chairs and we sat in a pasture. And what's so cool about it is we were watching these horses just be themselves, right? In their own space, quietly communicating with each other, right? And if you've never had an opportunity to do that, to even sit outside of a pasture, let alone inside a pasture, and just watch the way horses communicate with each other, it is absolutely magical. So the question I asked Mary Beth was, I asked her to go out and explore the horses and see which one drew her closest to her, right? And I'm going to let you take over from that after being out there for a little bit, right?
Okay,
and then
sure.
you share your experience, that first experience when you went out there, if
Sure.
you can recall it.
Yeah, for sure. So I remember, just kind of observing the horses for a while, just kind of getting a feel for different horses. And there was one horse in particular that I was drawn to. And it was kind of a lighter colored horse with like freckles on it. And I was drawn to that horse, and I just spent some time alone with the horse, just, petting the horse. I started to feel very calm and peaceful. and almost like, the cares of the day kind of fell away, and some space inside of me sort of opened up, and I began to just sort of allow whatever thoughts and feelings wanted to come up. And pretty soon I was just, I think what I saw in the horse, something I had seen in one of my sisters, and I was just really moved, and I thought, I'm trying to remember exactly how I would have, what that meant to me at the time, but I think it was just experiencing something that maybe I need to do some healing on. And the horse sort of allowed me to feel my feelings and for it to come up very naturally and to kind of work with those feelings in a way that felt very calming and sort of satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And it became very emotional for you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so as I was standing back observing, and that's what we do as equine specialists, right? We just stand back and observe, and that's what Mary Beth does when she's in the role of mental health inside the space, wherever we're working with the veterans, is we're observing the behaviors of the horses. And so for me, at those moments, we look for shifts and patterns of what our horses typically do. And for me, I was totally blown away at this particular horse that you had chosen. Mm-hmm. And you did. You said it reminded you of your sister. Mm-hmm. And this
freckles and all.
Freckles and all. And this is coming from somebody who's never been around a horse. So she just went into this space, and this occurred in this space. I know it sounds kooky, but I'm telling you, it just happens. Mm-hmm. And so you were sharing about your sister, how this horse reminded you of your sister. And what usually happens with this horse, when she's out in a herd with other horses, if she's eating and another horse comes by, that other horse will move her out of the space. She'll move because she's not a dominant horse, right? And what was so, awestruck me was that that horse never moved when another horse come to get the hay, right? And that was totally not a normal behavior for her at all. It was not a pattern that she'd done. It was totally a shift in what she normally does. And because I would have lost a big bet on that one. But it was amazing to watch you in that space and watch the horse performing in that space just as she should, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you walk out into that space, you're walking out in there as part of their herd, right? They don't become part of you, you become part of their herd. Mm-hmm. So Mary Beth, you've been in mental health for how long?
25 years.
25 years. So Mary Beth also does EMDR, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But when I first met Mary Beth, I just absolutely fell in love. Oh, we got a rig coming home, so here's some horses coming out. Is that she was very open to doing this and just wanted to kind of experience it, right? Because it is a type of therapy that is totally outside of what you do, right?
Right. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is traditionally a non-talk therapy, what we do inside the arena. It's the horses doing their work, right? And so tell us a little bit about when you first got to your training and what you were thinking as you were watching some of that unfold.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I first got to the training, I find it fascinating. Just even learning about it from Jamie, I found it fascinating, and having those experiences with the horse myself, I found it really interesting. But when I got to the training, I felt like a fish out of water because I was so used to different methods of, directly talking to the client, asking a lot of questions, exploring areas that maybe I thought were a priority or important sometimes. And so this model was completely different, and so it was quite an adjustment. I came back from the training saying to Jamie, whoa, I've got a lot to learn here. I'm not sure I can do this. And so she graciously sort of debriefed me from the whole training experience, like, Mary Beth, you can do this. But it was just, I loved it, but at the same time, it was kind of overwhelming. It's just like you've been going down one path for so long, and now you got to veer off and go down another path, and your brain kind of goes, whoa, I've got to really catch myself and shift and make the adjustments so I can serve this model well.
So you can tell we are on the farm today. They're all talking today.
Thank you for the support, right? Thank you. Yes.
This is our live audience tonight. This is Bo and Dale Backus. But Mary Beth totally has a vibe about her that she's very open to movement and spaces and just allowing things to be as they are, right? It's just this vibe that you get from her when you meet her. And I think that's like so important to have as a mental health in this realm with the horses, right?
Right.
Because you definitely, from an outsider, I wouldn't think that you could come in as a mental health and go, you know, those horses don't work. You know, it'd be so like iffy, right? You have to have an open mind, like, okay, let's see how it does, not that it's not working, right?
Yeah, and one of the things you just said, I think I was thinking about that earlier today, how important the movement in the arena is, because when the veteran comes into this space, and when they get to phase 2, which is where I come in, they are working, sort of identifying what they want to get out of phase 2, what they want to work on, what they want to improve in, or break through, or shift in their life that isn't working for them. And one of the pieces is putting together things that represent their life, and that involves physical movement, actually creating their life, sort of like putting it from here out there, where I can see it out there. It's not just inside of me, I'm actually putting it out here, including the horses, the other props that they can use, and the act of moving through, I think, is really, really important. Getting the body involved, getting the whole person involved, for sure.
Yeah, it is. And I'm just gonna backstep just for a minute. For those of you who are the first time, if you're a first time viewer on this, we have a 50-week program and 5 phases. And the first phase is really where the veteran comes in, and they learn to be in a safe space, a quiet space, and they they're on the horse in phase 1, but there's minimal talking, and they learn to just be in that space, which really mentally prepares them for phase 2 in such a great way.
It does, because I think phase 1 is all about creating the connection with the horse, the connection with you, or the equine specialist, creating that sense of safety and connection, which then leads, they bring that with them into phase 2. And without that safety and connection, phase 2 would not flow in the way that it does. That's like the foundational piece.
It's so crazy because we know Igala is used all over the place, and knowing what we do now, right? Igala is really it's the use of having mental health in the space with the horses, right? Excuse me, but in the no talk therapy. Oh, his girlfriend's in the trailer. That's what's happening.
Well, now we understand.
Yeah,
Okay.
his girlfriend's about to get out of the
Hold
trailer.
on, buddy.
Yeah, right. No, I lost her.
You said he gals all over the world.
Oh yeah. So the very first time that we've seen it, because you and I worked together in the very first one with Joel, right? And when we watched that first session in phase 2, it was like mind blowing, just the comfort that he had in the space, right? And so to me, I can't even imagine. Again, I know it's done all over, and it's amazing the way that it works, but just allowing these veterans to have 10 weeks prior to just mentally decompress and feel safe in a space and just allow them to really get ready to dive in for phase 2 is just amazing, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do think there's something about when they're in phase 1, when they actually get on the horse and ride the horse, that pattern rhythmic movement is calming to the central nervous system. So that's part of it too, which is a beautiful segue. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. So, what do you think? Did you hear about the use of horses in mental health at all prior to me connecting?
I really had not, except Heather, one of our mental health specialists, had told me about it, and she had told me about it for a while. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, but I didn't really pay that much attention until finally one day something inside me just went, I got to check this out, right? I got to check this out, and I came to meet you. So
it has to be so completely different. So tell our audience, like, okay, picture us in an arena with the horses, and you and I are there, standing there observing the veteran, right? So, from a mental health perspective, where are you at in that space at that time?
I'm really just in the role of being calm, being present, observing what's happening, noticing shifts and patterns and things that are unusual, And we use those things to, reflect back to the veteran perhaps, or ask questions, ask the veteran questions. I mean, probably the most common question we ask, because we're not doing a lot of direction, is, so what happened out there? What'd you notice out there? Or just tell us about it. So then everything is truly coming from the veteran, what their experience was. Because we've learned, we call it the apostrophe S's in the Agala model, which is I could be watching and making all kinds of interpretations. And sometimes I'll even share them with the equine specialist just to get them out of my system and put them away, because it's not about my interpretation.
Right.
Because when the veteran comes back over, what they say is what's important. What did that mean to them when that horse did that? Like if the horse walked away, or there was 3 horses and then there was 2. But all of these things become significant because it's how the veteran, without having to talk about themselves directly, is talking about their life through what the horses are doing.
Yep. And so how has this shifted your mindset working in your office?
Well, I find myself, maybe asking somewhat different kinds of questions, being more cognizant of really following the client's lead and how important that is, which is a concept that is not a new concept to me, but I think it makes me a little more cognizant of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know as an equine specialist, it really, it's crazy how when I was in the arena and what it did for me is really made me look at other people in their space and not make assumptions of what is happening in their life, right? And it's funny because I reflect on a commercial that I had seen in a leadership course, and it was a commercial for Chick-fil-A. They did this commercial, and it was an amazing commercial, right? And it just paired so well with what we do. And these people came in, right, to order at Chick-fil-A, and one girl, she ordered, she sat down, and nothing was being said but her, the presence that she was giving, right, was like she's had a bad day. But what people didn't know behind the scenes is she was just notified she had cancer. So nobody could get, you can't make assumptions of what is wrong with people because you have no idea, honestly, right? And even when we're in the arena and people make the assumptions with the horses too, right? Well, the horse, the horse was eating. How do you know the horse was eating? Did you see the horse eat? How do you know really what the horse is doing? You're making those assumptions. The horse is moving its mouth, right? And so that's how we break things down into the arena, to not make those assumptions.
Right. So we're not interpreting it.
Yep.
We're just saying specifically what the behavior is, right?
Yep.
So it can be interpreted by somebody else, by the veteran or, right.
Yeah, and I could speak from a veteran perspective, which I know some of you have heard me say this before, but when you're in that space, it's so completely different than traditional therapy, right? Traditional therapy, and there's nothing wrong with traditional therapy or any kind of therapy, right? It's whatever works for that person, right? Because equine isn't for everybody. You have to be committed to what you want to do here, right? But I know a lot of times there was fixes that were really like, well, why don't you try this, this, and this, right? When we really, as veterans, I can tell you, we don't really even give them the real story, right? So they don't even really know what's even happening in the first place, right? And so they're trying to fix something that's, for starters, not even real, So it's really bad. Where in this space, everything is raw and real. It is. I mean, emotions come out when people just couldn't even fathom them the way that they come out.
And
right?
I don't think that's just veterans. I think most of us going into therapy, it takes a while to really build that trust and to feel safe, disclosing or, sharing many different aspects of our life. It's definitely a process, so,
Yeah. I can't see any questions, but if you guys have some questions that you want to ask us, we definitely can get back to you in the chat afterwards. If you have some questions for me or for Mary Beth, if you are a veteran and you want to know a little more of how this works, we would love for you to come out here and contact us. All of our information will be in there, in the chat boxes as well, so you can get a hold of us. This space out here, the Dukes, if you do not know, they are a veteran family as well. They have 30 beautiful acres here. tonight is just going to be an absolutely gorgeous night, so this is why we had to do it here. I was hoping really, Miss Sophie, you want to come out yet? I really wanted her to come out because she's so pretty. Come here. Say hi to everybody. Come here. Come here. Come here. Say hi to everybody. Come here. Come here. Why are you're being so weird? That's green, sis. I don't know what
Maybe it's not her favorite treat. I don't know.
No, she loves grain.
Does she?
She's just being weird.
Shy.
I wanted you to come out here because you're so beautiful. Really? Oh, it's probably because we're sitting too.
Oh.
Yeah, come on. Come on, it's okay. Come on, just stick your head out here just a little bit. Come here. Come here, sis. Okay, I'm going to get up so you guys can see her because I really want you to see her. Because she's beautiful. And this is how sensitive horses are. This is exactly, we're doing something different that they are like, what is happening? Why is this person sitting outside of here? I don't understand it. Mm-hmm. Come here, Soph. Let's see if this works better. Sophie, come here. Oh, come here, sis. Come here. Can you come out here? Is it still Mary Beth that's scaring you?
Let me move.
Come here. Come here. Come here. Oh my gosh, you're weird. Let me see if I can get Breezy, next one down. Sorry. Come here, Breezy. Come here. Come here. Come here. I want you guys to see one. There we go.
All right.
Breezy will eat it.
Yeah.
We purposely sat here so you guys could see these beautiful horses tonight. And, Sophie, you want some now? Come on out, don't be scared. She's being a stinker. I don't know. Weird. When I don't want her to bother me, she bothers me. When I don't care, she doesn't want anything to do with me. So let's get into, now that you've been into it for a while, like, what are your thoughts about it? And, how has it changed you, or has it given you a different perspective, or tell me a little bit about that.
So I was talking with Lee today about the model a little bit, and he's one of our mental health specialists, and he used the word fascinating, which it is fascinating, and I always think of it as magical, because the horses seem to know exactly what to do. They have a way of inserting themselves at just the right time. And I'd like to kind of share a story of one of the things that I've witnessed is there was a veteran who identified one of the horses as comfort and support. And as he was moving through this representative course that he had set up about the goal that he was trying to reach, comfort and support came right up to him. And as he was moving through his course, and literally made, if a horse can make eye contact, of course they can, made like some direct, prolonged eye contact. It was like, we're just watching, of course I'm watching from a distance, right? But I'm just like, amazed. And then a minute later, after the eye contact, the horse put its head like right here. Like it couldn't have been any closer, almost like to give you like a hug, right? And so then after that moment was over, the veteran said, we just had a moment. And it was like, yeah, and it was so calm and peaceful, as if the horse was literally saying, comfort and support are here for you on this journey through your obstacle course. I mean, it was just so reinforcing to what he was creating.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing.
And it was what the veteran noticed.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and in those moments, don't you just wish we had like this GoPro where we could just like capture those moments?
Right.
Because they are so in disbelief.
Right.
I'll share one that we had. We had a women's retreat we were doing, and this was like, they're always mind-blowing, aren't they?
Yeah.
And so we had the baby Clydesdales in the space, and I think we had one other horse, right? And the very first girl was building her obstacles, or we were setting goals, right? So, and her goal was to get into nursing school, right? But at the very end, because there's always a start and an end, at the very end, she put her poles in a cross because it was going to be a big obstacle to get over is being able to get through the nursing school, right? Mm-hmm. And all the other women are sitting around, and she picked Blessing, our female baby Clydesdale, right, that she was going to walk her journey with, right, through the obstacle. And then all of a sudden, baby Journey comes from the other side, and somebody gets up to stop him, right? And I said, no, just let him be in his space, right? And within seconds, it was so amazing. He walked up to that barrier, took his foot, knocked that barrier down, and her and Blessing just walked through it. And the words support came out of her mouth, right? Mm-hmm. I do have support. I'm not in this alone. She thought she was in it and alone, right? Mm-hmm. And those are words from them, not me,
right.
you know? And it's so amazing when it's right in front of your face, right? Yeah. Is when you can't see it.
I've seen horses designated as like dedication or determination, and don't you know, they go over and they knock the obstacles down as if on cue, you know? It's just a very profound moments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And ironically, the two other mental health that we have here, did Heather work for you or with you?
Well, she was a contractual therapist for a period of time at my clinic. Yeah.
So all three, ironically, worked together at one point or another.
Right, because Lee's at the clinic now.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
for sure, yeah.
And Lee is a veteran. Lee is the only one that is not EGALA certified, and that is really our preference, is that mental health, which we put out a post that we are looking for more mental health to come on, because we know that you run your own clinic, you have a lot to do, and you know, we're basically a Tuesday through Friday, maybe a Monday, but we really want to stick a Tuesday through Friday type of structure. But you take on 3 or 4 clients, so you're the busiest that we have here, and it's really dictated by the schedule,
right?
By your personal schedule,
right?
Yeah.
And you would ask me, like, what is the experience like for me? I think one of the things that benefits me and benefits all of us involved is that we're on the earth, whether we're inside or in the arena. Really, we're on the earth, and we're outdoors and connected to nature and the horses, and that has like this really resourcing, nourishing aspect to it for all of us. So that's why I love the model too, because I love being outdoors and connected in that way.
Share your experience, your first few times of being in the arena, what you thought about the horses. Oh. Just so if we have mental health out there, they're like, oh my gosh, like I don't know anything about horses.
That's a cringy kind of question, like, as my daughter would say. No, but I was just really more nervous around the horses than I thought I would be. I mean, first of all, they're very big animals, and when they would move rapidly, I would be like this, like, Jamie, help me, you know, like, I was just really unnerved. And I still have my moments, but it's getting to where now when they approach me, I feel like, oh, you know, like this sort of more welcoming, calm feeling, but that was an adjustment, yeah. And you all have helped me, the equine specialists have helped me, and I'm sure the other mental health people, on understanding the body language of the horses, what to look for, what different things might mean.
Yeah, and that means so much. Like, I think I was covering for somebody the last time I was in an arena with you, and I was just like totally blown away just to see how much you've grown inside the arena.
Thank you.
Because you do not have to have horse experience. That's what we do as the equine specialists, right? We're there to make sure everybody is safe inside the arena space or whatever space we're at with the horses, right? And it is for us to know the body language of the horses, but it is something once you get to know the body language of the horses, and when you get to know the horses that you work with, what their typical behaviors are, right? Then you can become more relaxed. And that's important to be relaxed in that arena, because what happens when your emotions are heightened? Everybody's is heightened in their space.
We're all very impacted by the energy that each of us brings, for sure.
But yeah, so if you would love to be on mental health with us, we would love to have you. Again, we'll put our information in here. We do need several more. We are bringing on more clients. We have one that will be doing his intake this week or next week probably. So yeah, we definitely need mental health. So let's talk about EMDR. Let's talk about it. First, tell people what it is, very baseline.
Sure. And I just wanted to say one more thing about the equine assisted therapy. Is it's pretty amazing to me how in 10 sessions you can watch the veteran really move through what it is, really achieve that goal. And almost always, I just really see this greater level of inner calm, confidence, feeling like they can take it on. Like it's like they've connected the dots.
Yeah.
Right? So it's very wonderful to watch. I really love the model. So, and then EMDR, I love that model too. So EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, which is a very unfortunate name, but it really, yeah,
They
should've
could have
made-
shortened
I
it.
know, come on. But it really, that's why we say EMDR, right?
Right.
But it's about getting the left and the right side of the brain to work together. Because when we've been through traumatic stress or traumas, we have material that gets stored in the body, and it doesn't process out like other more minor upsets might. And we think about REM sleep, rapid eye movement, and how when we go to sleep at night, a lot of things are processed out because of rapid eye movement. Because it's going left, right, engaging the logic and the emotion. And so we wake up usually feeling pretty refreshed. But trauma stays stored in the tissues more. It's harder for it to process out without some type of intervention. So what EMDR is it works on helping us come to a different conclusion about ourselves. Meaning that when we go through overwhelming traumatic experiences, it changes how we see ourselves, how we see the world, our ability to keep ourselves safe, our ability to trust, our own worth. Where at the end of EMDR treatment, we've ideally been restored to feeling like I am worthy, I know how to keep myself safe, I can learn how to trust. So we're really shifting both the beliefs we have about ourselves from trauma as well as the feelings that go along with it. You know, a lot of us at different points, like we will know something in our head, like we'll know we're a good person, but we just can't feel it because maybe we had overwhelming experiences which made us feel like we were a bad person or not good enough. Mm-hmm. So it really gets the logic and the emotion to work together.
So I'm going to recap from 1 to 2 to bring us up to phase 3. So again, 1 is you are on the horse, the veteran is on the horse, in that quiet space, in that rhythmic movement, just slowing the brain down, learning to trust, quiet space, because a veteran is always mission forward. So 10 weeks of that. Then there's 10 weeks of working through this surface level, whether it's anger, anxiety, not being able to communicate or interact with people, right? And sorting that out through this creation phase, right? And having a really good look at that and how to maneuver that going forward. Because we take the veteran where they're at and we move them forward.
Yes.
And then what's so great about phase 3 is where you deal with this trauma piece, right? So we've helped clear a bunch of stuff out, 20 weeks out. You know, they're now into starting, week 21 with you by the time they get to EMDR. Mm-hmm. How amazing is that, right?
It is.
And so they have to be in such this incredible space. I've not experienced this, but I could only imagine them to be in this incredible space, right? I do know, and I can say that some of them know that their anxiety starts to increase again going into phase 3, mm-hmm. right? Because they're unsure of what is about to happen.
And new things are scary.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the part, or if you could share if there's an element, because we add a horse to that element, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. So it's not the clients just sitting in a room with Mary Beth. They're in a space where they have access to a horse. Either that they could walk out and have access, or they could be with the horse.
Right, and I think that's really important because we've established that the horse is such a resource. And so if we're working on some difficult material and there's a horse nearby that the veteran will access, or a lot of times the horse will wander over, and it's just like that connection again happens in the middle of our processing. There's still a bit of, the horse might do something, and even though we're doing EMDR, we might say, so tell me about that. What did you just notice? What does that mean to you, So it is good to have the horse there as a resource. Just the continuity of, the continuous resourcing through each phase is important.
And that's this is an element we added, right? Mm-hmm. And so we talked about that because in the beginning we allowed the EMDR phase to be optional. And then Mary Beth and I talked through it and said, no, let's not make it optional, right? It is part of this journey that they go through for 50 weeks. Mm-hmm. And then we really wanted to add the horse to this element. And do you feel the horse has been a good add to the element?
I do, because of the connection that's already been developed with the horse. Mm-hmm. And because the horse still kind of has this, they just seem to read people really well, and it would seem like an intuitive ability to know, when to come over. Yeah. When to be involved. Yeah.
And what's so as veterans, right, we go from I's to we's. You guys have heard me say that probably a trillion times. You're probably going to hear me say it more, right? So this whole thing is so the veterans right now when they are out in this big scary world, right? And we're not talking about the guy who gets up and goes to work every single day. We're talking about the ones who are struggling, right? Part of the 22 a day or 20 a day or whatever number you guys want to call it, right? The ones who are isolating, drinking, drugging, those veterans who are suffering along with their family members, right? Because it does not just impact the veteran, it impacts the entire family, right? And so we will never have them be alone, right? So in phase 1, they are connected. When they first come out here, they are connected to a veteran. A veteran will show them around, either myself or the president, Joel, who's been through this program, will show them around, encourage them to come out with their family, bring their support system. This isn't something they have to do on their own. Mm-hmm. And then in phase 1, again, they are learning to build that trust with that horse, and they have somebody on the other end of that lead line, right? Kyle is not a veteran, but her father is a police officer, so she has the mindset that can really assist the veterans in there. This is why we chose to bring her on. But the veteran isn't alone, right? They have somebody on the other end of that lead line. Mm-hmm. And then in phase 2, it is now a team of 4, right? It's the equine specialist, the mental health, the veteran, and the horse as a teammate, right? So in phase 3, we as equine specialists cannot be in there, but it's so important that they have a teammate, that we don't leave them alone. Mm-hmm. And so they have, through basically phase 1 and into phase 2, have really grown a relationship typically with a horse, right? Mm-hmm. And we bring that horse into their space so they're not alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from the veteran's perspective of what I heard on the outside is that they just love that, you know?
For sure.
And I was talking to Refuge is in Texas, which is where we got this program from. I was talking to Patty, and they do not have the element of the horse in the EMDR phase, and she just absolutely loves that we add the element of the horse to that phase. Mm-hmm. And I mean, again, we don't want to leave the veteran by themselves, you know, is
right.
My thought perspective. And I think that's what probably shifted us doing that versus them, because neither one of them are veterans. So, and it's a veteran building the program, you know?
Right.
So not that one's right or wrong, it's just different of what we choose to do here. Yeah.
I think it's helpful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. To keep that continuity, to keep it.
So what would you have to say to a veteran or a mental health person? Let's start with a mental health person. What advice or what recommendation or what would you say to encourage them to come alongside of us and be part of our team?
Just that, first of all, that it is such an incredible model, and as we're in this field because we like to, excuse me, like to help people, we like to see people achieve their goals and to expand in their life, and so this is a model that definitely does that. It's exciting to see, you know, and to think of how far we come in just 10 short weeks is pretty amazing. Well, I mean, it's not just, I'm talking about phase 2 right now.
Oh, yeah,
Which,
right.
No, it's more than 10 weeks, it's 50 weeks, but you know, that it really is rewarding, and there's a lot to be learned from this model because of it challenging us as the mental health professional to see things from a different perspective. You know, as we're learning this, we grow and expand as clinicians, and then we take that into, if we happen to work other places too, we still take that with us, that knowledge. Yeah.
Can you definitely see a difference of how it benefited you to get EGALA certified?
Oh, completely. Yeah, because the training, I found the training, I thought they were very good, very professional. It's very structured, and it gave us a lot of time to practice, you know, hands-on, to watch other people practice, to practice ourselves. So even though it was still new and even though I was a bit unnerved by it, the training was really good, well worth it.
And even when you came back, right, and when we first, all of us came back as a team, right, and started doing this, we're all going to make mistakes along the way, right? So we might sometimes say something that we're like, oh, we shouldn't have said that, right? But what I always remind the team of is when things like that happen, it's done in the best interest of the veteran, right? So it's not that you're trying to solve their problems, and it's not you know you made the mistake, I know I made the mistake, right? And then we learn from it. But it's not like we've done something intentionally damaging to the situation, right?
And I found that we've been pretty good about spending a few minutes after sessions to talk about, you know, what happened and maybe how we could have, you know, I said it this way, and what if I'd said it that way, and kind of bouncing ideas off each other. I really appreciate that, because it's that reflection on what we've done. That's how we're learning and growing all the time, both the equine specialist and the mental health specialist. So.
And we are truly a team in there.
Yeah.
We're truly a team. So as the veteran is not anywhere near us, right? The veteran is out in whatever the space, the pasture, the arena, whatever it is. The equine specialists and mental health are standing side by side, observing what is happening in that space, right? And so, and we are conversing quietly amongst ourselves to try to help put factual stuff that is happening in the moment. Right, like hand on horse, or horse's head low, or it's called clean language in the Agava world. So this way there's no assumptions that are made within that clean language. But, yeah, but it is, I mean, we're all going to make those. It's a learning curve, and again, I think everybody has the best interest of the clients that are here, right? And so we just all grow together.
We do,
I think so.
for sure.
Yeah. So what would you say to a veteran, to encourage a veteran to come out and take part of this if they needed to be part of this?
Well, first of all, this is probably like no other method of healing or growth that you've tried before, because it is so unique, and it's really driven by you, I would say, the veteran, and you're going to work at your own pace, and you're going to experience this in a way that it's going to come, what is needed, or what is needed will come sort of organically from you, and those are the kinds of changes that are the most long lasting. When I have the space and the peace and the quiet to be thinking about something I'm struggling with the use of my teammates, the horses, the arena, and then something comes up inside of me, it's like I can connect more with my innate wisdom in this kind of environment. Because of the peace, the quiet, and just the model that there is. So again, it's those kinds of meaningful insights that produce long-lasting change.
I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed tonight. I really wanted to have Mary Beth, have you guys experience Mary Beth, listen to the way that she spoke about her own experiences in the space, how she views it as a mental health professional, and you know, her take from how she views it as to what the client is getting out of it, right? And so, again, I think you're amazing. You know, I absolutely love you.
I think you're amazing. You are. Thank you.
We always talk about having our own space someday and been dreaming big, yeah. But yeah, we really want to encourage anybody to get connected with us. So we just really are here to serve the veteran population. One of the best things about our program is, even though you complete the 50-week program, you never have to leave. That's what we tell people. You're always connected in our monthly gatherings, family gatherings, whatever we're doing. We're always doing something out here anyways. But so we just want to wish you guys a good night. And again, if you got questions, just put them in the chat and we will get back to you. We will see you next week. See you guys. Oh, give me a second to get over it. Have a great night.